All right, we live. I'm running commercial. Remember commercial first.
My superpower is probably patience and encouragement. These days, kids are feeling really inadequate. They're not feeling like they have it in them to do something they've never done before. We need to create a place that was hands-on, that was a fun environment, that allowed kids to be creative and allowed kids a safe place to get it wrong. What drives me are those aha moments, those moments where you see the kid, they get it. And I tell you what, I live for that moment. Because when you give them an opportunity to approach it at their level and then add in sprinklings of the challenge, and they've got to kind of race themselves and maybe other students in order to get there, they're tenacious about it. They're excited about it. And when they achieve it, that is the greatest joy. That is what the Cincy STEM Lab is all about. Our job is about helping them build their confidence. It's about making the learning process different, fun, and very approachable. And STEM and science and tech and engineering and math is becoming a lot less scary to them. The problems that we are facing in the 21st century with climate change and access to electricity and energy, these are the jobs that have the money. We have to have all hands on deck for that type of work. And that is what we are here to do, to expose students, no matter how little money you have to how much money you have, how much you think you know and how much you don't know, and to help build their confidence so that they are ready to step out in STEM and say, here I am, this is exactly where I was supposed to be.
And welcome to the We Not Boxed In podcast on this Monday, June the 9th. What's up, Melvin?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much. Everybody go and follow Onimpactrecruitingservices on all social media platforms. Also follow Mr. Melvin Levitt on all social media platforms and Wise Guys Sports. I'm your host, Trey Larkins. Sitting alongside me is Cincinnati Bearcats legend Melvin Levitt. Another We Not Boxed In podcast. We got an action jam-packed show tonight, Melvin. How was your weekend? Though, man?
First off, got a little rest, which was needed.
Yeah.
Just finishing school, just about maybe 2 weeks ago, and doing some more AAU basketball tournaments, and we kind of laid up for a couple of days.
Yeah.
But I'm back. I'm refreshed, ready to go. I was excited about the show tonight because looking back at last week, our first time together, ever really actually on any type of platform, sharing information publicly or anything like that. I think it was really good, man. It was a good opportunity to get out here and get my feet wet again with this process. And I was happy I was able to kind of get that done with you. You made it easy for me to kind of just flow with everything. So looking forward to, man, what's next and, here in the future.
Absolutely. My weekend was pretty good. I didn't have my kids this weekend, so I had a kid-free weekend. That's always good. I got a chance to pull up to Dante's 7vs7 showcase though Saturday. I pulled up to that over at Westside. It was a great turnout on Saturday, so we definitely had a good time doing that. Shout out to Dante for putting on and doing a great job hosting that event. It's a lot when you host events, and Dante did a pretty good job, I must say. But obviously we had NBA finals, so I watched games. One game one Thursday, Game 2 last night. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. I'm definitely excited. Last week we had a great show. I agree with you. It went very, very well for the first time. So each and every Monday, we right here, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Park Place. It's the We Not Boxed In podcast. We would love to discuss various sports topics. So come up here and debate with myself, with Melvin, and we can talk about whatever sport you want to talk about. Basketball, football, tennis, soccer, you name it. We can talk about it on the We Not Boxed In podcast.
Stay away from the jerk wings, though.
Stay away from the jerk wings.
I'm still trying to recover over here, man. I mean, it might be, I don't know if the camera can really see. You know, I'm a little purple. That's things hot.
So you can't do spicy food. You don't really like spicy food too much?
Spicy, I can't do it no more. I mean, I heard one of my patrons in here tonight talking about the French red hot, which that's as hot as it gets for me from now on, man. I can't do anything spicy, any peppers, any of that stuff. But I used to be able to. I don't know what happened, man.
Yeah. I like spicy food. I love the jerk wings here at Park Place. Park Place got pretty good food overall.
Oh, no, definitely.
They got good food
that
here.
was a little joke blowing about. I don't see what happens to me. But no, Park Place does a great job with the food and things like that. So come on up here, check us out, have some wings in the process, and enjoy the show.
And we got an action jam-packed show tonight. We are going to discuss, obviously, the NBA Finals. We are also going to talk about Little League football. We got a few presidents and CEOs of the Little League Football League that's going to come on and talk with us here shortly. That's huge.
That's huge here in the city of Cincinnati. A lot of people may not know I'm from the city of Cleveland.
Up north, yeah.
Okay, nobody threw nothing at the yard after the county was closed back before, But no, growing up in the city of Cleveland, youth football was one of the things that a lot of my friends partake in for extracurricular activity.
Yeah.
I was a football guy, but I wasn't quote unquote brave enough actually to get out there and put pads on yet. So I was on the basketball court, I was on the baseball field, I was doing some other things to kind of get my skills together. But one thing that did get me ready for padded football was flag football, which is even bigger now. They're going to make it an Olympic sport and all that stuff. But
yeah.
Youth football has played its part, man, in life, period, for a lot of NFL, obviously NFL guys, but just a lot of youngsters who just need an outlet. So tonight is special in that respect because Cincinnati has actually, put its foot down when it comes to youth football. Yeah. And there are teams all around, and I see teams playing at Woodville High School at times, which is to see the parents and the kids all out. Yeah. That's what it's all about. So I'm excited to hear what's going on here in the city with the youth football going forward.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I grew up in Forest Park. So when I was coming up, we had the North Central Knights. I played for North Central. Played for the Lincoln Heights Tigers as well. Played for the Seven Hill Realms. So yeah, football was definitely a big part of when I grew up playing football, playing youth football, a great experience. I feel like a lot of nowadays though, I feel like a lot of times with Little League football though, and we're gonna talk about this a lot tonight though, but I feel like sometimes with these little leagues, whether it be basketball, football, sometimes it's not always about the kids, and we got to get back to it being about the kids. And that's what it's all about. It's not about these coaches or these CEOs of these organizations. It's about the kids. So we definitely want to get back to that. But it just teaches you so much discipline. Like when you playing little league football or little league, or even playing basketball growing up or baseball, just sports in general teaches you discipline. And so I know I learned a lot when I played little league football growing up, and it actually helped me into the man I am today, for sure.
The relationships that are formed for me, growing up at that time, other youngsters from other neighborhoods that you come in contact with, maybe through competition or just the youngster that you're playing on the team with from around the corner from you, or maybe I live down the street from you or something like that. It's just that whole thing coming together and the camaraderie of it all. It's about the, obviously about the kids, but the people that are at the forefront, put themselves out there to actually be there for these kids.
Absolutely.
To put leagues like this together, it's few far in between now.
Yeah.
In these days. We do have a lot of things that go on, but at the same time, we don't have enough people out here like the folks that we got in this room tonight that are willing to really give themselves and give the time.
And make sacrifice.
That's the problem.
Absolutely.
I think a lot more of us in the positions that do have a platform, we should use it a little bit more to obviously get into the neighborhoods. There's a lot of things that's going on in the neighborhoods now, differently than when me and you grew up. Obviously some of the same things, but these young kids, man, got so much more that they have to deal with nowadays than me and you did. We can go outside and play and be on our street and not have to worry about what you hear about on the streets right now. The kids can't be out there in front of their own homes playing until the street light came on. You know what I mean? Those days are far gone and in between. So those are the things that we miss. So hopefully again we can get back to those things. But again, I think the people that we have here tonight are taking those necessary steps again, putting themselves out there in the forefront and being good ambassadors and good leaders, for the community.
Absolutely. And for tonight, we're going to talk about the NBA Finals, series tied at 1 game apiece. We're going to try to get into some NFL and talk about Aaron Rodgers signing a 1-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And
that's big.
That's big. That's big.
That's big because the AFC North just changed again.
Yeah.
All right. No matter how you want to look at it, you can talk about how old you think Aaron Rodgers is and all that, but Aaron Rodgers is a competitor. All right. He's a competitor. And he went to a competitive organization. Right, who has done some fine tuning and retooling. And I'm not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I hope they fall on their face. But again, I think the landscape of the AFC has changed again because Aaron Rodgers has a motivation. And that motivation is who?
Aaron Rodgers want to play. You want to still win another Super Bowl.
Who is his motivation?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's not in the league right now.
Oh, I thought you meant okay.
Who's his motivation right now in this league right now in our division? I say our division. Okay. Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh.
Right. Okay.
Joe Burrow is Aaron Rodgers' motivation to go out there and still compete, along with a whole bunch of other things. Joe Burrow is going to make him step his game up. Trust me.
Well, we'll see.
The Pittsburgh still in the Bengals game just changed.
I told you last from everybody, I like the Packers. I'm a Packers fan, so I got my thoughts on A-Rod. I'll get into that later though, because we'll be here for the next 30 minutes as I get into that with A-Rod. But definitely excited about the show. We will be right back with the We Not Boxed In podcast. And welcome back to the We Not Boxed In podcast with myself and Mr. Melvin, Levitt, Cincinnati Bearcats legend. Don't forget, everybody go and follow Onimpactrecruitingservices and Wise Guys Sports and Melvin Levitt on all social media platforms. And also, we got Payne, the water, as you can see, the water that you can see going.
Yes, definitely shout out to the sponsor.
Shout out to the sponsor with Payne. So we have on the show Cincinnati Bucks president Gary Roundtree and Cincinnati Golden Wolves president Reggie Borden. So Reggie, give me a breakdown of when you started the Cincinnati Golden Wolves organization, where y'all from, and what y'all represent.
Definitely. So the Cincinnati Golden Wolves was founded the year of COVID, 2020. So it's easy for me to remember that. There was a time in the city where, or probably the state, we didn't even know if we were gonna have youth sports. There was only a few organizations that actually pushed through. We're on the west side of Cincinnati. We practice at Roberts Academy, 1702 Grand Avenue.
Okay.
Our league ages 4 to 12 for the boys, 4 to 13 for the girls, cheerleading. Our organization offers other sports. We do basketball. We've done baseball in the past, but we haven't done baseball recently. I'm looking for cheerleading coaches, and I'm looking to add more kids for both football and cheerleading. We believe in discipline, hard work, fundamentals. I played high school at Western Hills High School, 3 years varsity. I played at college at Mount St. Joseph.
What position you play?
Guard, offensive line. So we try to teach the game, try to bring it to the inner city, give them a structured environment, something that sets my program apart, being in the double age group league that we offer. So we're smaller compared to some of the organizations in our area, but we're a family environment. Try to do everything we can to make people feel like family. We having the cookouts, the different events, giving back everything we can, the outings with the kids. So my program, how we run it, it sets us apart because we family.
Absolutely. So you age group is what age? 4 to 12?
4 to 12 for the boys.
Now, when it comes to the boys ages 4 to 12 who play football, how do you decipher from when you're dealing with a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old compared to when you're dealing with a child that may be closer to being in their teenage years, like 11 or 12-year-old?
I've had the experience coaching both. Normally with a 4-year-old, I would tell the parents to bring them out and test it out. Sometimes the 4-year-old's not ready. As far as running drills and everything. But a 5-year-old, I teach them the same as a 12-year-old. Like, you got to be more fun. You can't have them standing around. But my father taught me not to water it down. I'm going to teach them the fundamentals.
Absolutely.
I might not give them as much. And to be down there, you got to be more fun. Those 5-year-olds, the activities, not a lot of standing around. With the 12-year-olds, at that point, they should be more advanced. But on any level, I coach high school also. And I found out on any level, it's about the fundamentals and the discipline.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I would think coaching a 5-year-old compared to coaching a 12-year-old, sometimes when they're 12, and even as they get older into high school, they think they know it all. And compared when they're 5 or 6, they still learning. So they are still more open to listen.
The point that you made, the beauty of having someone that young who listens to everything. Their mind's not already made.
They're not so quote-unquote tainted.
I know you see that. But so that's the big difference with them. And with them, a lot of people going down and coaching a 4 or 5-year-old, you have to be fun. You can't be just drills and stuff like that. You can get away with that with the 12-year-olds.
Absolutely. Now, last year, which particular age group had the best season in your organization? And how far did they go?
My 11 and 12-year-old team was the strongest in my organization. I think it was like another group came in, to combine that made us stronger. They went into the playoff with a 3rd seed, and I think they lost maybe the first round.
Okay.
And that was the strongest team in our organization.
Go ahead, Bill. You got any questions?
Well, as I talked about before, again, having just an outlet, man, a place to go, as you spoke about, being in a structured environment, being in a place that are doing the same thing as you, pretty much, wanting to have fun. And like you said, that's one thing that's been taken away, so to speak, is the fun of it. You talked about running the drills and things like that, and keeping things kind of like for the younger kids. A lot of the stuff that I see now online, I see a lot of these coaches pushing these younger kids far too hard. So it's good to hear that you are taking into consideration the age, obviously, but body structure, mindset, balance, speed, agility, all those things, play a part, in becoming, an athlete. So you just can't stick a kid out there and just have him in a situation that he's not really ready for. So that sounds good that you guys are safety more so than anything first, and then obviously having fun with the kids. Bringing fun back to sports, is what's all what it's about.
Now, let's transition to Cincinnati Bucks president, Gary Roundtree. Now, Gary, same question that I had for Reggie. When did your organization begin? What age group do you coach, and where y'all from?
We're from the west side also. Actually, we practice very close to the Woods. We practice at the recreation.
Rivals?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. Not really. We keep it very friendly.
Okay.
Yeah, we at the Price Hill Recreation Center in Price Hill. That's what we practice.
Is Spoon still over there?
I think he retired.
Okay, that's a good buddy of mine.
Now, what age group do you coach, and when did y'all begin your organization? When y'all start?
Actually, we started the same year. I've been coaching for 22 years.
Okay.
And back in the 20s, we started the Cincinnati Bucks. So we actually came along the same time, and it's just been, kind of a roller coaster because I think it's about 14 in the area. So it's very competitive, very. And, I'm coaching the 9 and 10-year-old team this year.
Okay, now what's the age group though for the entire organization? Where does it go from?
We from 5 to 12.
5 to 12. Okay. So what has, now that you said you coach with 9 to 10-year-olds?
Yes.
Coaching the 9 to 10-year-olds, what has that been able to teach you, like, and in your development as a head coach?
Well, so far development, it is very on hands with them. You got to teach them all the aspects of the game because they're playing real football at that age. In our league, we don't do kickoffs or punts, so special teams is the only thing that the 9 and 10s are not doing. Other than that, you have to teach them everything that you would see in the NFL. So,
what separates the Cincinnati Bucks? What makes a young kid want to come and play for your organization here?
I would say more like what Reggie was alluding to, and that's just we try to be a family-oriented organization. We try, we really try to keep everything together, and we really push them, the kids to do the right thing at all times.
Wait, maybe got any questions from here?
Listening to you talking a little bit, I just kind of have to think about, again, as I talked about before, coming up as a youngster and viewing the youth football leagues in my neighborhoods in Cleveland. Well, there were the PAL leagues. They were called PAL at that time. They were ran by the police at the leagues. But listening to what you said about the family-oriented structure, things like that, I used to see the kids all load up on the buses. They had their 7 cheerleaders with them. you know, and they had their family and their cars were decorated. You know, and I was always, you know, watching from afar, but admiring, definitely, because again, you know, watching and seeing, you know, this is an event, you know, for these kids. You know, it's put on, you know, tremendously, the fanfare, you know, and the pageantry, so to speak, of it. You know, when you speak about everything that you see at those games, you know, everybody's involved. You know, you're cooking in the back. You see all the smoke. Yeah. So you're gonna get you some good food. You know, all that good stuff. And you're gonna see some good action, you know, with the kids. And again, the kids have bought in, so to speak, to competition. You know, at the lowest levels. When I say the lowest levels, I mean age-wise. I'm seeing a lot of kids now starting, you know, high-level basketball, traveling basketball in third grade. Yeah. So stuff like that. So I mean, things have changed, you know, dramatically, and it's kind of cool again to see that, you know, we have the organizations and again the people that's willing to again get themselves involved and partake in such a big, you know, such a big thing. I mean, because it's just not putting the kids in there and playing football. Yeah. It's all the behind the scenes stuff that goes on too. I think a couple other people here that may take care of, but you know, it's all that stuff behind that people don't see that go into making a great product and putting things out there for these kids. So, you know, much respect to you guys and what you're doing. I hope that if we can get a schedule, maybe get out there and see some action a little bit. I'm always around in different little neighborhoods and stuff like that. So we'll love to come out and see what's going on.
Similar to the question I asked Reggie, Gary, which age group had the best season last year? How far did they go in the playoffs?
Well, that group would be the 7 and 8 for us. The 7 and 8 group. I think they got I want to say the 8th seed last year, so they played the number 1 seed. But the thing about that was that team that it was the 7 and 8 for us last year was real young. Yeah, we were really young, and they did a great job just getting to the playoffs. Yeah, they did a great job. I was so proud of them, and you know, hopefully we can get a lot of those kids to return and look for bigger things from them.
Absolutely.
I have one for both of you guys. What impact have you seen so far in the short term? I know for myself, I coach basketball, I coach youth basketball. And some kids may have problems in school, issues in school. Have you seen being on a team, being in a structured environment, change that kid's behavior? Or have you heard of changes of kids' behavior, or, you know, a couple kids that may have played in the program a couple years back? Have you heard back from them or anything like that? If you can, just kind of elaborate on that a little bit. Either one of you guys. You can start first.
You touched on like when we're coming up, our experiences. So from my coaches from being younger, it's kind of what drives me in doing this. So to the question you asked, we offer a high school basketball also, and I won't say this too long, but a lot of people think that the high school kids are gone, that you know they don't have no respect, or thugs, yada yada yada. But when you coach them, they still respect it. You know, they show that respect and put them in an organized environment. So I want to touch on that from coaching. But with our younger ones, the same as us. Like we put them in an organized environment. We teach them hard work pays off. We teach them respect and discipline. And it carries over to school, carries over to the household and the family. We tell the mother and fathers that we're working together. So they mess up in school, you know, if you want to work with us, we make them run the whole practice or something. You don't have to pull them for the team. So it definitely adds to developing the kids.
That's great. That's great.
I have seen kids that wasn't really doing anything in school, and then once they found the love of the sport of football, that's what made them flourish at school. So, I mean, I've seen a whole lot of transformations in my years.
Yeah.
A whole lot of transformations.
And you believe football helped with that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's great, but you also, it's a balance for y'all because you want them to understand, like, everybody not going to make it to the NFL. Everybody not going to make it to the NBA. So that's the balance that y'all, you know, that I feel like you got to kind of make sure that you implement. You know what I'm saying?
Touch on that.
Go ahead.
So the goal or the understanding that everybody might not make it to the pros is true, but this game can provide so many more opportunities. You get an education, scholarship. Yeah, you learn. So they may not make it to the NFL, but they learn a lot of life skills, hard work, discipline. You get a scholarship, you get an education.
Brotherhood being in that locker room. Brotherhood in the locker room. Yeah, absolutely. Sitting in with Cincinnati Bucks President Gary Roundtree and Cincinnati Golden Wolves President Reggie Borden. Question for both of you guys, Reggie and Gary. We live in a time now where social media plays a major part in life in general, specifically sports. Do y'all believe social media has impacted Little League sports in a more positive way or a negative way?
Wow. I would say it's been in a positive way. There, like we were alluding earlier, it's so much for these kids, and for the exposure that they get now, it's big going forward. You know, in every stage that they take now, it's more and more exposure with the Facebooks and all the
Twitter,
media,
Instagram,
hey,
TikTok.
Yeah. This is a great time for kids to be in different sports.
Yeah.
This is a very, very great time.
You want to?
I can see the positive and the negative. Melvin touched on what we're supposed to expose the kids to, what environment we're supposed to put them into. So some individuals, I don't think are in that same structure. Like we go through the coaching certification and we're out there to develop the kids for the right things. Some people use it for clout, and use it for clout. They use it for disagreements, getting their feelings. But if you utilize it, this is free advertisement. If you're thinking about business, you can reach millions of people and stuff. So the great part about that, expose our org, to get to the community. But back to what Melvin said, that it's the person that's around the kids, it's the person in the communities, what their goal is, what they're about. So some people uses it wrong. Some people takes advantage of it.
Absolutely. And that's why I was asking about whether or not you believe it was a more of a positive or negative impact. Because I be seeing cats in Little League who be arguing, coaches, and it's like, it ain't even about y'all. It's about the development for the kids. And that's what's crazy. Let's call a spade a spade. There'd be a lot of, and let's be honest, in our community, we be arguing amongst each other and these coaches arguing. It's like, it's about the kids and them development.
Immaturity, not about the right thing.
Absolutely. Mel, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of it, man. I've been in the city now over 25 years, considered to be a Cincinnatian now. So I feel like I can speak on, a lot of the experiences and things that I've seen. And that's what I view. I view the negativity and the personal battles amongst people. That's mind-boggling me because at the end of the day, again, who and what is it really about?
Yeah.
It's really supposed to be about a certain entity.
Right.
But I'm asking the question to you is, who and what is it really about when you're doing those types of things? So like, you really put yourself out there to make yourself look, again, a certain way.
Yeah.
But again, it's just like I said, utilizing social media, the proper way, not to really so much brag on my third grader. Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
Some of these people put out the youngest kids, and it's okay to do that, but at the same time, the way you're doing it, it's in a bragging sense. It's not in a promotional type sense of my son or my daughter and the team.
Exactly.
It's me.
Yep.
Me.
Yep.
And we don't want to drive that home to a mind that we already talked about that's not tainted.
Right.
You know what I mean? We don't want to drive that message home that all I see in this highlight is me.
Right.
This highlight is all about me.
Team game.
Wow, that's me again. Oh, they see me running again. No, it's a group activity. It's a team game. It's okay to have your individual highlights, share those things, congratulate them, celebrate. But at the same time, know that you're involved in a bigger entity than yourself.
So, Reggie, Gary, let everybody know where they can follow y'all on social media. Your organizations on social media, they can find you guys.
Facebook. That's where we'll be at. Cincinnati Bucks. .com.
We have a Cincinnati Golden Wolves fan page, and then also you can reach us on our email, goldenwolves2020@yahoo.com.
Cincinnati Bucks President Gary Roundtree, Cincinnati Golden Wolves President Reggie Borden joining us on We Not Boxed In podcast. We will be right back.
Or just took over.
It was like off.
So now
Yeah. Oh, okay.
they're Cardinals.
Okay.
The College Hill Buck in here.
Are the College Hill Cardinal Bucks?
I think just took over Corain, the leadership and the org, as far as I see.
Yeah. That was somebody else that combined with one once again. And they didn't need them. You got 20
So
plus
what's
kids.
next?
Kids.
Where you go? You come back to break?
And welcome back to the We Not Box In podcast with Trey Larkins and Melvin Levitt. Don't forget, go and follow Wise Guys Sports on all social media platforms. Also, go and follow Onimpactrecruitingservices on all social media platforms. And also follow Melvin Levitt on all social media platforms as well. And don't forget, each and every Monday, we are live here at Park Place, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., discussing the latest in sports news, the We Not Box In podcast, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Let's transition to the NBA. Let's talk about the NBA Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Indiana Pacers 123-107 in Game 2 last night. For the Thunder, SGA had 34 points, shot 11 of 21 from the floor, 8 assists. For the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton had 17 points, 6 assists. Series is tied at 1 game apiece. Game 3 will be Wednesday night in Indy. So after watching the first 2 games, Melvin, what is your biggest takeaway from the NBA Finals so far?
We're getting what we expected. You got a fighter in Indiana, and you got a beast in OKC. That beast showed up last night. They definitely didn't show up. Well, they showed up in Game 1, but they didn't, bring it home like they were supposed to. You got your foot on somebody's throat, or your hands around their throat, so to speak, you're choking out there. That's what coaches always talk about. OKC allowed Halliburton, those guys to get hot late, and Indiana did what they've done all season. They stay relentless, they stay patient, and very resilient, and pulled that Game 1 out. OKC did nothing yesterday that I did not expect them to do. They needed to come out and win resoundingly, and they did. They said that there was lightning and a storm in the area before the game started.
Yeah, I heard that.
So I guess the team came out and bought the Thunder.
Yeah.
Bill got jokes today.
You got jokes.
No, they bought the Thunder, man, like they were supposed to. Again, nothing different. Shea again was Shea. Got his points, got 34 in a different way. The last 38 that he got was crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of things that he was doing, but this 34 last night, just came very, very, very efficient. He was getting to his spot, getting guys open, doing his thing. And that's the leader that I would expect a lot of other guys to have been, so to speak, in the past at this stage and age that they were at. Shea is kind of showing that he's really, really different. He's putting his names on some lists of some guys, that's in folklore of the NBA.
Yeah.
One being Wilt Chamberlain, with 9 straight 30-point games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's playing sensational.
That's very impressive. So going forward, Indiana's got a problem in trying to control him. One thing we did talk about being a key to the series is whether Tyrese Halliburton is going to control his pace, or whether or not Shea is going to do the latter. Right now, Shea is kind of controlling things right now. Tyrese has hit one shot. He's hit some, meaningful things towards the end of the game, but he only had his hat on that one shot he's hit. So far, Shea has kind of showed his dominance.
Not only Shea has shown his dominance, I think OKC has shown their dominance in these first 2 games. Let's be clear, Melvin. Been 96 minutes played in the NBA Finals in Game 1 and Game 2. And I've watched every minute of these first 2 games, and I don't see a single advantage that the Pacers have over the Thunder. I'm like, man, the Thunder are clearly a better team. Now, the Pacers did come back in Game 1. They overcame a 15-point deficit. That was the 5th 15-point deficit the Pacers have overcome this postseason. So you got to give them credit from that standpoint, and I've been saying it all postseason long. Whoever the hell overrated Tyrese Halliburton and said that he was overrated and he's not that great of a star, they should be exposed because Tyrese Halliburton. We want to put an address to it. But honestly, though, as great as Tyrese Halliburton has been during the postseason, and that was a great game winner that he hit in Game 1, I have been disappointed with Tyrese Halliburton in these first 2 games, though. Let me tell you why. Yesterday in Game 2, going into the 4th quarter, he only had 5 points. You cannot be a superstar and only have 5 points and be considered the best player on your team. So for me, I think Tyrese Halliburton, now that they're going back to Indy, they're going to get an opportunity to play in front of their home crowd. Halliburton got to come out and be more aggressive. He can't wait till they're down 20 to start being aggressive. Yesterday in game 2, he had 5 points going into the fourth quarter. He finished with 17, so he had 12 points in the fourth quarter. But it was too little, too late. And I expect Halliburton to play better in Indiana, and he has to come out and be more aggressive. But I thought also game 2, the others played well for the Thunder. Alex Caruso played a great game. Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams both had better performances in game 2 compared to what they had in game 1. And Shea has been balling. He's been balling. I think he has like 72 points through these first 2 games. And I think that's the most in the NBA Finals since AI did it.
AI and Jordan.
Yeah, AI and Jordan. So Shea has been playing some great basketball. But if I'm the Pacers, like I'm really trying to find what do they have as far as from an advantage standpoint, man? Like I can't find nothing.
Well, again, the leader has to step to the forefront.
Yeah.
And Tyrese Halliburton, again, has not done that to the latter parts of the basketball game. As Richard Jefferson and them talked about last night, he's got to find a way to insert himself early into the action of what's going on. Whether that's, again, taking a couple extra shots early or getting a couple other guys involved. Whatever it's going to be, you got to put your foot down and you got to set a tone.
Yeah.
But he's not done that early. The late game heroics, again, that's awesome for TV. That's good if you're in that position to get there. But usually, if you're relying on that, you're going to be on the tail, on the tail end of things. So for Indiana, man, Tyrese got to come out and play well early.
Yeah, early.
Siakam has been my problem. We talked again before the series started about keys.
Yeah.
I'll keep going back to those because those are very important. Siakam was a big key that we talked about as far as his versatility, his size, and what he would be able to contribute. Now he's coming off an Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
Yeah.
Where he averaged 20 plus points. Where has Pascal Siakam been?
Yeah.
These last 2 days. All right. Now it's one thing not to have Halliburton, but now if you don't have Siakam as well, you're dead fish in the water.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean, so to speak. Nembhard, Neesmith, those guys, Miles Turner, they can only do so much. And they're playing very hard. Neesmith, 4 3-pointers last night.
Yeah.
Nembhard continues to do his thing offensively and defensively, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
To be able to have that stamina for one.
Yeah.
And the wherewithal for 2 towards the end of the games to try to get things done offensively, but yet you've been guarding one of the best players, in the league, if not the best player in the league. But speaking about, as you talk about the others, it's a team game, and that's why you have guys in the position that you have them, and it's about being a professional and always being ready for your number to be called. Caruso is always a guy that's ready. And Wiggins was a guy who stepped up last night, 5 for 8 from 3-point range.
Yeah, he played well.
18 points.
Yeah.
In 18 minutes.
Yeah.
So both of those guys combined with Caruso's 20 plus, that's 38 points.
Off the bench.
Off the bench alone.
Yeah.
So you talk about you got to deal with the hammerheads like Chet, Jalen Williams, Shea.
Yeah.
Now you have these piranhas, so to speak, coming off the bench. That's hungry too, and want to, stake their claim, obviously here in the league, but they want to win the championship as well. And Caruso, with that mentality of a champion, competitiveness, he's going to come out and he's going to do his thing. And yesterday, that was one of the biggest differences, if not the difference, in the game for me. Hartenstein obviously did his thing. Chet and Williams, obviously 19-5 for Williams, 15-6 for Chet. So maybe they think, but the other guys were the key.
Speaking of Alex Caruso, he's one of those players that, and you play the sport, but he's one of those players, if he's on your team, you love him. But if he plays for the other team, you hate him. Seriously, you can't stand him because it's annoying, but he's a great role player. And I thought, from a defensive standpoint, I thought OKC did a much better job in game 2 compared to what they did in game 1. In game 1, the Pacers shot 46% from 3-point range. In game 2, they only shot 35%. And so we talked about all season long how elite OKC is from a defensive standpoint, because they got so many perimeter defenders that can send your way. Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams, Wallace, Lou Dort. That's also who I believe who's been frustrating Tyrese Halliburton. Lou Dort built like a linebacker. I mean, he built like a linebacker, and I think he's the reason why Halliburton's been struggling. Because when you got a player guarding you 90, coming up the court the whole way, it wears on.
Same thing they did to Anthony Edwards.
Same thing they did to Anthony Edwards. They wore Ant-Man down as that series went along. Because I was watching the Western Conference Finals, and I'm thinking, where the hell is Anthony Edwards? What's going on here? I need to see more from Ant-Man. If you want to be recognized as one of the best players in the NBA, but that Thunder defense, they are elite. And they're showing that right now. I feel like I was listening to the post-game press conference. Rick Carlisle was talking about how SGA, he's going to score 30 before he even hops on the plane and stuff like that. From a coaching standpoint, Bill, do you believe Rick Carlisle should sell out and try to stop SGA, or just say the hell with it, let SGA get his points, and let me stop everybody else? What do you think the game plan needs to be from a coaching standpoint? Do you sell out and try to contain SGA because you can't stop him, but you can try to contain him, or do you try to just make sure no one else beats you?
He also made a comment in that interview that coaches have to make tough decisions.
Yeah.
And that decision there is too tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see him just allowing Shea to do the things that he's been doing, carving them up the way he's been carving them up, to try to say, hey, we're going to stop everybody else when you haven't done that at all. You haven't, again, on the back end, offensively, as I talked about with Siakam, had a solid game with one of your second scorer. So to kind of really put all your eggs in that basket, so to speak, would kind of be, tough decision to make as a coach, but I think will be the wrong decision. I think they have a good game plan. They stayed the course. One thing that Coach Carlisle talked about in the first game when he made the comeback was staying the course. Yeah. Right? They were getting good shots. It was about staying patient and doing what they do. Well, they did that, and they got a win out of it. But they had some unfortunate things for OKC to happen to allow them to win that game too. As well. So, and going forward, I think if Indiana's continue to play the game that they play, but yet pick up the pace a little bit more. So to speak. Again, that's Tyrese Halliburton being a little bit more aggressive, being a little bit more selfish and forceful, and getting this game started early.
If I'm Rick Carlisle, I'm going to sell out and try to contain SGA.
Really?
Yes, I'm going to try to sell out and try to contain SGA the best possible way I can. And even if he gets his, definitely don't allow nobody else to get there. Like you gotta pick a poison. Pick a poison. Or I would have laughed. You gotta pick a poison. Because I think the Pacers are overmatched. And I hope I'm wrong. They're coming back home. And you know how it is. Game 3 and Game 4 will be different. Because the Pacers get an opportunity. They get an opportunity to play in front of their home crowd. And that's very, very important. Just to give y'all some insight on how better OKC played in Game 2 compared to what they played in Game 1. In Game 1, they shot 40% from the floor. Game 2, they shot 49%. In Game 1, the rebound differential was a minus 17 in Game 1. They were a plus 8 in Game 2. They had 13 assists in Game 1. They had 25 assists in Game 2. So the Thunder played significantly better in Game 2 than they did in Game 1. What was weird about Game 1, though, the Pacers had 24 turnovers.
They had a lot last night, too, again.
They did. So that's another thing. Rick Carlisle has to make an emphasis and make a point to his team. We got to protect the basketball. If they continue to turn the basketball over like they have in Games 1 and Games 2, it's going to be a short series, man. It's going to be a short series. It's going to be over in 5. We might as well go ahead and crown Oklahoma City the NBA champs now. If the Pacers continue to turn the ball over the way that they have. But it's going to be interesting in Games 3 and 4. Game 3 is Wednesday night in Indianapolis. Game 4 will be Friday. I know Naptown will be rocking for sure.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to see it. Indiana has a pretty nice fan base, and they're going to be doing what they're going to be doing.
Absolutely. Everybody go and follow Lions Guys Sports and Onimpact Recruiting Services on all social media platforms. Also go and follow Cincinnati Bearcats legend Melvin Levitt as well.
Talk to us. Get in that chat.
Get in that chat. Comment. We'll be right back.
He said, what did LeBron do in his
We
first
added on
8
the
years?
last name. Okay.
Yeah.
What other team without him won the Eastern Conference Finals without him? I want you to think about that. How many different teams right now have won the Eastern Conference Finals compared to
I don't think he was even up there last week, to be honest.
We won like 2 years in a row.
Yeah, he won.
Look. Man, we might have to have you might have to have a segment, man.
No.
We can talk about this.
Hey,
You keep bringing this stuff up, man.
Oh no, I know this.
I want to
Because
bring.
me and my boys go back and forth every day about it.
We might have to. We're gonna talk about football and all that here next. But we might have to get into this LeBron, MJ, and all that.
Bring him on next. Bring him on next.
Okay. Yeah. So them two coming on next.
No.
That's what I said.
Asking about the best dunker of all time in college basketball. Clyde Drexler, Errol Griffin,
Melvin
J.
Levitt.
Shaq.
Shaq ain't. Nah, Shaq went
No.
up. Shaq was just.
Shaq dunked on everybody.
Shaq dunked everybody, but Shaq
Yeah,
wasn't no.
but, hey,
He ain't.
Clyde did it a little different.
That Clyde was.
Vince Carter.
Come on, man.
Vince
Clyde
Carter.
was-
Hey, guess what? Hey, he had a nasty streak though.
Man, Clyde was.
Clyde won there to Vince.
He had a nasty streak.
He won there in the event.
Man, come. Well, no, I ain't saying he was better than Vince, but I'm just telling you what, man. Clyde was serious.
I
A
said
lot of
him,
them
man. He
don't-
said that for a
We
reason.
don't get a lot of them dudes, man.
I said him, man. He
is,
said it for a
man,
reason.
I'm not talking about them dudes who put their forearm in the rim. When they dunked the ball, this was banging up against the rim, man. I mean, they
Julius played in where he's so.
One, go.
And welcome back to the We Not Boxed In podcast. with your host, Trey Larkins and Melvin, Levitt. We up here live at Park Place each and every Monday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Joining the We Not Boxed In podcast, we have the West End Little Senators President Brian Richardson and Lincoln Heights Tigers PR person Tracy Wakefield. So I'm gonna start off with you, Brian. Give me the age group of your organization, where y'all from, and who had the best season last year for your organization.
We started at 4 through 12 years old. We based in the West End, and I say all our teams had this, except 11 and 12s had a good year. They all had a semi-final round right before the Super Bowl.
They made it to which round?
The semi-final round right before the Super Bowl.
11, 12 year olds.
Well, everybody except 11.
Okay. And where y'all from on the West End?
It's more in the West End area, more it's Land Street, just basically Liberty Street, basically right before you get to the market, right out the highway.
How long y'all been around?
We probably been around over 50 years. Been around for a long time before I was born.
Longevity, support, for sure.
So, when did you start with your organization, personally?
I always been around the word since I said birth. My family was playing before I was born. It's always been something I've been a part of.
Okay, and which?
So you pretty much grew up in it.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
So I wasn't playing in the family members, playing in the
Now you're giving back. Yeah, that's what's up.
Absolutely. So what is the most exciting part for you? Like, what does it do for you? Like, being able to be the president over the West End Little Senators organization. What does it do for you? And, how has it made you better as a man, being able to be over these kids and teach them and guide them and develop them as football players?
Well, in the West End, our kids go through a lot. So I think just sometimes if I'm not doing football stuff, just walking through the community and kids just coming up to me and they know who I am as just the coach. Boys or girls, just make me feel like I'm doing something to change their lives. Or I feel like sometimes the kids doing bad, they don't want to do bad in front of me. It's like I see a different child. I don't see this kid that's really out here probably committing crimes because our kids started at 11, 12 years old. And I just coached at 10 or maybe a baby. He might not play no more.
Yeah.
Now he's committing crimes and they still reaching out to us as coaches. So can you talk to him? Because you help him put him on another path.
Now, as far as when it comes to the West End Little Senators, how do y'all balance, kind of similar to what we talked about earlier with Reggie, how do y'all balance basically being able to build relationships with parents, but that y'all also involved with kids' academics? You know what I mean? Because you want these kids also to understand that school is first. How do y'all balance that? Do y'all try to get involved and make sure they also do their job as far as the academics in school?
Well, with the West End Senators, we really don't have a choice. We kind of like kid first. We gotta be kid first because we kind of not. We don't have the most athletic kids. We have kids probably from a different background and trying to learn a different way of positive life because what you see outside every day is not positive. It's easy to go do the bad thing.
Wait, maybe any questions?
Well, just touching on again, just some of the things you talked about. Obviously, first and foremost, being around for 50 years, that's historic. That's a lot of years here in the city, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, and to be noticed, on that level, so to speak, for what the organization represents and what it does. That's huge, man, because 50 years, that's a lot of kids. You know what I mean? That's a lot of time for a lot of different people. You know what I mean? Again, we talked about it earlier with the groups. It's about people that's working with these kids in these organizations. That's going to make a difference at the end of the day. You know what I mean? You can put kids out there all you want. But again, if you don't have the people that's willing to detail things as far as discipline, you know what I mean? Trust, respect, responsibility. All those types of things that, again, that's our life tools. If you're not teaching those types of things in sport, really at the end of the day, what are you really trying to teach the kid? So much respect to the fact that again, they're here. The organization's been along, But obviously going forward, just the same question I asked the previous guys, the impact. Obviously we've been around, the program has been around. As you said, you saw guys come back, things like that. Do you have former players come back to coach and help out with the program in some way?
Yeah, we're trying to get more people back involved into different politics that go on in the community.
Right.
People try to stay away from coaching or don't want to be involved in stuff they don't know about coaching. It's something we're trying to get back into the community. More people that, from my era, are younger than me to come back to coaching.
Sounds like something that's probably need to be taken to a rec center.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or something like that, a recreation center, have some type of meeting, so to speak. For the gentlemen that's in the neighborhood that do want the opportunity to get involved with the kids, but maybe gotta go through some type of extenuating circumstance to do so. Basically talk about the politics that are involved, in communities, and the criminal history is, one of the biggest things that's involved in kids' sports period. And sometimes, criminal history can be, a little bit shady, sometimes. So, reintegrating these guys back in the community is important. So, because if they want to be involved, they want to help these kids, how else do they get back involved in the community? You know what I mean? If they're not allowed to obviously take part in, the local youth basketball, local youth sports team that's involved in the community. So I think it's something that needs to be probably talked about. You bring up an interesting point. Because again, there's probably a lot of men out there right now, a lot of gentlemen out there that do want to take part in it, but don't know how to take the proper steps to get involved.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of education about the process probably needs to be brought to the forefront a little bit.
Now, Tracy, you are the public relations for the Lincoln Heights Tigers. And so just talk about the age group that Lincoln Heights coaches at the Little League level and talk about which group had their best season last year.
As he mentioned earlier, we do also 4 through 12. We reiterate bringing back to the community has been our team's been around for over 65 years. It's one of the oldest historical Black neighborhoods in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Everybody knows us by Exit 13. That's where we're located at. We reach out to different areas, different communities. We just don't limit it to our area. We do want the kids to come back. We have some coaches that are third generation. That is, their grandfathers played, their dads played. We have some coaches that are Division I coaches that are coming back that want to give to the community. We're reaching out. We do wrestling. We also do baseball. We're going back to doing flag football for the older kids. Something to keep them steady doing something instead of just hanging out in the streets. We give them the opportunity to contact us also outside of football if they have any issues going on. We're working with programs with NAACP. We're working with foster homes. We're giving those kids a chance to, it may be a child that doesn't have a meal.
Yeah.
We're helping them out with that also. And as a whole, it's not just one particular coach or one different, one group. We do it all together. I have kids that contact me right now that's in high school, college. They're calling me, hey, what's going on, this and that. It's nice to hear from you. Our coaches are set up, and that includes in the league. We have to set up just a little different structure because of so much that's going on out here right now. And I was telling y'all I didn't want to be emotional and keep rambling, but what makes a child want to come back to the org, I do HBCU for the kids. We do chants, we do cheers, we get the parents involved. So they're, I just had the babies, the 7 and 8s, go to the 9 and 10s, doing a chant, showing they pride. The older kids are looking at them like,
live this.
Yeah.
So earlier, y'all asked, what makes a kid want to come to Lincoln Heights? Our philosophy is next man up. So I hate when a child is, I call it body shamed. So if he's a certain size, or he can only be on the line. That's not true.
I agree.
I know kids that come in as a guard, move out to a tight end, even fullback.
Yeah.
You give a kid that chance, that opportunity, he knows that he can get the ball or he can do something different.
Yeah.
It makes them play more.
Agreed. And Trace, not to cut you off, but I feel like that's another problem I've noticed in Little League football. Sometimes you have these head coaches who are their sons or their nephews play on the team, and the sons or the nephew, they get to play the skill positions like running back, quarterback. But you have these other players on the team who are playing linemen, but they can also possibly be better than those particular sons or nephews of the head coach. And that's another problem. Sometimes they play favoritism in Little League football as well, and that's also an issue.
That's huge.
Well, I have grandkids that play. I do not coach them. I let other coaches do it because I'm harder on them.
Yeah.
I leave them alone.
Right.
And as I have a player right now. He's been playing with me for 5 years. He tried to come in too early. I told him he couldn't. He kept hanging out around the team. Then he started at 4. Now he's one of the best kids. He's not even in the area. He's in a different part of town. He keeps contact. His mom keeps in contact.
Yeah.
You give that child that chance, just that little gleam.
Yeah. Right. Just want to comment on that a little bit though about the favoritism in Little League, because we see that a lot too.
I see it a little bit, but I mean, with the Senators, it's open. Just show up to practice. You're gonna have the opportunity to play whatever position you want to play. We're gonna teach you to play the position that you want to play, as long as you show up to practice.
Absolutely.
After you showing up to practice, I'm probably on you. We're gonna probably pick you up to get to practice anyway. So just get me happy.
Absolutely.
With the youth, relationships, obviously are very, very important. As a youth coach myself, I try to do things outside of the game, so to speak, to bring the kids together. You know what I mean? Just have a good time. What are some of the things that you guys have done as coaches, off the field, so to speak, to bring the kids together, just to kind of let your hair down a little bit, have some fun, team camaraderie night, or whatever, team chemistry night, something like that? Has there been any activities that you got involved in?
Well, recently, we just didn't have practice one day. It was Memorial Day weekend. We just gonna wear bounce houses and barbecue for the kids.
That's why.
Our former president, he was out of town, so he probably was surprised everybody.
How did the kids take it?
That's what I'm saying. It was so much fun. Everybody talking to him.
Right, that's what we're talking about right there.
Telling him how fun it was, and it's something we should probably incorporate and just doing more.
It's important, man. It's important to get them away from the competition of certain things and get them away from the work
Absolutely.
of it, because it's a process.
Yeah.
We want them to go through that work process, but at the same time, as the first group alluded to, it's about keeping that FUN part in it.
Yeah.
You gotta keep the fun part going.
Yeah.
If the kid feel like, or she feels like they're not having fun, they're not gonna participate.
And we recently, just this past weekend, did Founders Day, Lincoln Heights Day, to get back to the actual community.
Oh, okay. Nice.
We get back to the community. Kids were allowed to come out, have fun, different drills on their own as far as playing. This has been going on for probably about 20, 30 years. And it's giving it back to the community. On the days that we do drills, every Thursday, that last practice day, that last half an hour, we give the kids an opportunity to just do drills that they want to do. And then that's where they learn and they earn the chance and the cheers. I'm not sure if y'all been to HBCU school or college or whatnot, but when they get a chance to learn that and then they go back and forth with their parents, because we ask the parents, we want the parents to be interactive. That actually helps us. They may tell us something about that child that we do not know. And that helps us deal with that child a little different because every child's not the same. Once again, you give them that opportunity, you give them a little fun instead of just constantly, I've seen kids get burned out. I don't like that. That's why next man up.
Giving back is important. I appreciate you, mentioning the fact that you guys did that for the neighborhood for Founders Day and things like that. It's easy to understand. In order to get, sometimes you got to give a little bit of yourself. There's a lot of taking going on in the world right now, and these kids kind of gravitate to what they see. Giving back to your own community or getting out there and fundraising for yourself, you know what I mean? Having a car wash, a bake sale, lemonade sale, whatever it is, selling water.
Yeah.
Those are the type of things that kids are taught,
Yeah.
to understand that, hey, sometimes if you want something from someone else, you got to go out and you got to put yourself out there a little bit,
Yeah.
on your own, and you got to do a little bit for yourself. Again, it's give and take.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's the message. I like to try to give our kids an idea program. Give a little bit of yourself, but you can take a lot. All right? Take a lot. Because I want you to take a lot. But give a little bit of yourself. All right? In order to get it.
Sitting there with West End Little Senators President Brian Richardson and Lincoln Heights Tigers Public Relations Tracy Wakefield. Now, Tracy and Brian, I'm not sure if I asked this earlier, but I'm going to ask it to both of you. I want you both to comment and give me your opinion on this next question. I feel like sometimes people who are adults, they don't really ever respect children and ever really feel like they can learn anything from kids. But being in Little League football, what has it taught you guys, individuals? Like, what have you learned while working with these kids about yourself? You know what I mean? That you may not have knew before. What has it taught y'all about yourselves?
As far as me, myself, I've always given back because I grew up humble. I was a little country fat kid, I see what these kids are going through. Some parents got to make a choice between, do I feed them or do I get them cleats?
Right.
We've actually got sponsors for the kids that are too under, who don't have the resources. I'll reach out to police, different business owners. Had that child to show that he's dedicated to playing, that he wants to play, to go out and buy them cleats, to go out and help them. It's not just me. It's us as a whole org.
Yeah.
And it's other orgs that actually combine with us. We've actually talked to some of these other orgs, and we don't combine to help out. The league that we in right now, I love it. That's not trying to boost them up, or it is boosting up our own league.
Yeah. What's the name of it?
But I love it. I love it because it gives these kids that opportunity where they're not hanging on the curve.
Yeah.
They're not running and doing something for someone else. Even though we stop at the age of 12, we still help kids that are 13 and older.
Yeah.
And that giving back, it taught me a lot. Look at where I'm at and don't forget where I came from.
Very important.
You want to expand on that, Brian, before we got here?
For me, probably the most I probably learned is to be just patient. That's not just coaching 11 and 12. Not from coaching babies. That's coaching 11 and 12 to be patient.
Yeah.
I think they give me more headache than the babies.
Really?
The baby more laughs. It ain't really much to worry about. But yeah, just more patience. And in my life, I've had some hardships and a lot of troubling times. So just putting kids, these smiles on these kids' faces. I don't know. I didn't think I'd be here just doing this.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
Sure. Let everybody know where they can follow Lincoln Heights and West End on social media as far as the organization.
You can follow West End Little Senators on West End Little Senators Facebook. That's West End Little Senators cheer and football. And West End Little Senators Instagram.
And it'll be Lincoln Heights Tigers, cheerleading and football. We're here for everyone, including the West End.
That's what I was going to ask. Are you looking for kids as well?
Yes, we are still open looking for kids, boys and girls, girls 5 through 13 and boys 4 to 12.
And the same with Lincoln Heights. We are still looking for kids. We are still available. In my ideal, there's no kid that's uncoachable. This gives the parents a chance to get a rest. It gives that child something to do because we have a lot of kids. They look toward these practice days just to get away from something else they may have going on.
He is the West End Little Senators President Brian Richardson. That's Tracy Wakefield, Public Relations for the Lincoln Heights Tigers. You are listening to the We Not Boxed In podcast. We'll be right back.
One.
And welcome back to the We Not Boxed In podcast with myself and Melvin Levitt. Joining me now on the We Not Boxed In podcast is Nick Johnson. He is the CEO of the West End Little Senators, also the lead marshal as well, and Mary Ward, co-founder of the Cincinnati United Youth Football and Cheerlead, and Shawana Leslie, the Evanston Bulldogs Youth Association and board member as well. So each of you, I want to ask you a question. Y'all can all answer this question individually. What made you get into this, and how has it impacted your lives individually and made y'all better people?
To be honest, I started with my son playing. The first year he played, and I was still in college, so I sat on the sideline. I was on the sideline doing my homework.
Okay.
But the one thing that I noticed, that's where I met Shawana.
Okay.
On the field. And I figured out, in order to make something better, you have to have people in the background that are willing to do the dirty work, get your hands dirty. So that's how we met, and we've been friends since then. But we continue because, for two things, if we don't do it, who will? And if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Deshaun, you want to expound upon that?
Yes, I've been there since
2002.
2002. And I don't have any children out there now. I have grandchildren out there, but if we don't do it, who's going to do it with the patience, the time? So we do things on the back end. I work on the back end a lot. So I'm not a coach. I don't coach the children, but I do work with the girls, running the girls club. So that's a part of our cheerleading program. So I think it teaches you patience. As many times we all say I quit every day. I've been saying it for the last probably 7 years that I was done. But somebody always calls me and say, hey, can we have a board meeting? And so I think it teaches us when you're a giver and not a taker, you can't quit.
Yeah.
And these children need somebody. If it's just 10 of us, they need somebody. Because not all children or households run smoothly. So somebody has to stay positive for the children because they are our future.
For me, it started since I was born, for real. My mom was a baseball coach in the West End. Okay. My uncles and all my cousins, they all were baseball. I'm a football guy. So I've been with this organization since 1984. So I'm coaching kids that I coach their dad.
Yeah.
I'm a part of the guys in my generation. They all play. Dante played. We all came up sports minded because we were from the West End. Wasn't no way out but sports coming up for us, whether it was basketball, football, baseball, or boxing. Absolutely. And to me, I have to keep it going. Like they said, if you don't do it, who will? So like Brian, that's my nephew. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's the president. We care about our community. We care about the kids in our community because if you know the West End, it got a bad reputation. So this is our way of trying to get rid of that reputation and bring this next generation up so they won't think about what we had to go through.
And this question is for Shawana and Mary. With the cheerleading, how involved are you two with the cheerleading and what age group kids? We talk a lot about the boys with football. Let's talk about the girls with cheerleading.
Well, let me stop you right there. I know nothing about cheerleading. I was on the 11 and 12 football side.
Okay.
I do know that they're there, and one of the things that I tell them is that if you are working on a cheer to make sure that you got it right, teach it to me.
Yeah.
I can't walk and chew gum. So if you can teach me the cheer, then you know you got it down pat.
I am not a coach.
We really do the
I
back
am
end
not
stuff.
a coach. I never have been a coach. I've always been more into football
Okay.
than cheerleading. But because I had a daughter who cheered since she was 4 years old, I followed through the program with her. Now, today, do I still work with the cheerleaders? Yes, I do, on the business side of it.
Okay.
Ask me to buy a pair of shoes, I can get you some shoes, but I can't teach you to cheer. But ask me to take the girls to Kings Island, I can take them to Kings Island. But, things like that. So I work on the back end, and when I say the back end, I literally mean back end, making sure they have uniforms and the things that they need to make it through the program, or teaching the discipline side of it, or just teaching them about being a young lady.
So, wait, hold on, Nick. One thing I want to say about Evanston, I think when things are going wrong, or we're having a child that's having an issue, they'll call either me or Miss Shawana to come and intercede and figure out what's going on. So when she says the back end, it's really behind the scenes. To make sure that things flow smoothly so the children can come.
So you wouldn't expect me to speak about cheerleaders, but like I told my president, the cheerleaders are just as important as the football.
Absolutely.
Because it's scholarship for cheerleading too.
Yeah.
And to give the girls that outlet as president, it can't be football. It has to be even. You have to treat the cheerleading program the same way you treat the football program. The money that the football gets, the cheerleaders got to get it too. Because you will realize that the cheerleaders are who bring the fans.
Absolutely.
Football cool, but who's gonna tell their granddaughter, "No, I ain't coming to watch it"?
Right.
And that's why it's important to have the cheerleaders. So yeah, the cheerleaders are just as important as the football.
Now, for you two, you said you guys help out behind the scenes a lot when kids are, having issues and stuff like that. So how has that made y'all better as people, being able to do that? 'Cause that's a major impact on these kids. Being able to call Miss Mary and Miss Shawana when they're going through stuff. Like, how's that make y'all better as people?
Well, I can say this past January, of course, I quit again before I told the board. But I went to get my license renewed. And as I'm standing at the counter, it's a young man to my right, and he's talking to the lady at the counter. And she came over and said, "This guy says he knows you." And he turned around and said, "Miss Smith, I hated you. I hated you with all my heart, but I love you. Had you not put your foot on my neck, I wouldn't be the man I am today."
Wow.
There it is.
And I looked at him and I said, "Jerry?" He said, "Yes, ma'am." I was like, "Yeah, well, your big head brother Nick." But it's those moments when we're out at the grocery store and the kids stop us and they remember a kindness. It brings you back. It centers you, and you know that this is your calling to do this.
And that is it. I was coming out of my son's building, and I had a little boy say, "Hey, Mama Shawana." I turned around and I didn't know this kid's face from out because he had a face full of hair. And he says, "You don't know who I am?" And I said, "I do, but I don't. Tell me your name." And he said his name. And he said, "Can I just hug you?" He said, Do you know you saved me, my sister, and my brothers?" He said, "Remember when you used to steal them hot dogs and wrap them up and give them to us so nobody could see? And Coach Bean used to be fussing about us getting extra hot dogs.
Yeah.
He said, you saved us.
Wow.
You saved us from being hungry. He said, remember them bags you used to drop off on the porch? I didn't think that child even knew that was me dropping them bags off on their porch over in Evanston on Woodburn.
Yeah.
I didn't think they knew. But if they did know, it was me sneaking bags of food on their porch. He said, I just want to thank you. And he stood there and started crying. This guy is like 20-something years old now. And he just touched my heart. And it just, that day, I said, you know what? I can't quit.
Yeah.
I won't quit. I say I'm quit, but I can't quit.
Yeah.
So when I say we work in the background, we work in the background. A lot of times, those children are out on the field. That's their peace.
Absolutely.
For 2 hours,
Yeah.
some of those children, that is their peace.
Girls and boys.
Girls and boys. And we as a community, as citizens of the community, if we want these children to grow up and be productive members of society, we have to continue to do the work that we're doing with them. The race is given to the strongest soldiers.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely. Powerful words there from Shawana and Miss Mary. Nick, you got a story that you may have with a kid that grew up and came back and thanked you for the impact that you made on their lives? Because Miss Shawana and Miss Mary, they had 2 wonderful stories. We got a trio. You got a story you may remember? Or?
Man, I got a lot of stories. One thing, my name is Coach Nick in the Hood.
Yeah.
And I came up, I was Nick Kelly. But I've been coaching so long, even the grown folks call me Coach Nick. So I got kids that went on to college, came back, started business in the community.
Yeah.
And they tell you he the reason.
Yeah.
Because I was a no nonsense type of guy. Because my mom was very, very strict on me.
Yeah.
And then, like now, the schools call me. Because a lot of these kids don't have dads. So the school called me, hey, you come up here. And they know if I come up there, somebody gonna have to pay a price. Absolutely. Even the grown guys that's on the block, Nick.
Yeah.
I mean, they give me that respect because I put it down for them.
Yeah.
You know, the majority of these kids can't afford sleep. The majority of these kids can't afford to pay their fees. So what I did, the greatest thing I could have did for our community was allow FC Cincinnati to come and build a stadium in our community.
Yeah.
And from the time they've been there, they don't do nothing but give to our kids. But the stories I get is we got kids in college now.
Yeah.
Tad's been to the playoffs 4 years in a row. Them are kids.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that. When I go to their games and they call me, Coach Nick, you see me?
Yes.
Yeah, I see you. So we got a kid now. He our pride and joy because he followed the rules. Now he's starting running back in Notre Dame. Amen. And this is breakout year, it's senior year.
Yeah.
And those things means a lot to me because it's what we do it for. Now, granted, all of them not going to make it to the NBA or the NFL.
Right.
The thing is to get that structure from college so that you can come and give back. I got to retire soon. I'm setting the groundwork for these guys to come back and take over. Like I had a record company, Top Life Family. Dante was the main guy that did our tours for us.
Yeah.
And we showed an example that the streets is only temporary. Name one person that retired from the street. You can't. So
you only got 1 or 2 options in that.
So once you start talking jobs and everything but the street, I don't even talk about rap news. I don't even let these kids today know that I started our rap thing downtown.
Yeah.
Now my little cousin Skyler, the hottest thing in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Because we set trends but we set our trends now for the future. We need to be set up so we can get out of this mindset that we can depend on the government. We need to depend on ourselves.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing that I hold my hat on, that I'm preaching that every day and I'm living and I'm being an example.
Yeah.
You cannot gain nothing from the streets but jail or death.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we get out of here, I got one more question for each of you. And I want you guys to all answer. Starting with you, Nick. What do y'all believe that we need to do better in the community, in our communities, to where we can have more successful stories like Miss Shawana and Mary just had earlier? What do you believe we need to do as a community? Whether it's just with football, cheerleading, just in general, what do you feel like we need to do better with our youth?
And I'm gonna sound harsh when I say this. Our parents need to be retrained. Our parents need to be taught how to be parents. And some of them it's not their fault. But it's time to stop putting yourself before your child. Because when you do that, all it's doing is setting your child up to put theirself before their child. And it's gonna keep on happening. So the best thing we can do is educate our parents. Get our parents trained up that you do not have to rely on the government. They finna take it from them anyway. Everything they thought was free is over. And that's another thing. We need to get out of our parents' mindset that life is free. It's not.
It's not.
I think one of the things we need to do in the community is teach the children from Neha on up about service. When you're taught about service, you learn to serve when you're serving others. You teach them about serving others. I think we have to go back to the basics of life. You know, some of the things that people don't talk about, the Bible or religion or whatever. You have to teach about God in these homes. I think that's some of the problem, a lot of the problems, but we have to teach about service, teach about love. If we love more in this Black community, if we could love more and stick together, stop all the backbiting, the fighting each other, stop it and love more. Yeah, as I'm listening, I go back to my grandparents, my dad. I grew up in a household, my father was a boxing coach, and I watched him build a ring in St. Mark's school gym. From that ring, he took the boys in the community and taught them how to box. From that instance, that's where Tony Tubbs started. And that's how my father was his first coach. So I see service, and I know what that means. And we had on our shirt one time, for many are called, but few are chosen. We need to get back to basics, the Bible. We need to be stern. The world doesn't owe anybody anything. And the more that we coddle our children, the worse off they'll be. And these little girls are truly out of control. I would say to the men, if you have daughters, get your daughters. Get them in control right now. They are off the chain. And our little Black boys, you know what? They're born male and Black. They got 2 strikes. We got to do better as a people and realize that when you love yourself, you'll love the thing that looks like you, and you don't want to kill them. So right now, if we don't grab our children where they are, the parents are broken, they're hurt. We've got to come together and figure out a way to help those parents heal, but at the same time, we cannot lose this generation of children. I can't retire yet. We got too much work to do.
Too much. And too much. Before we get out of here, I would just say, for me, the one thing I feel like we can do to help our youth better is discipline our children more. Like, back in the day, and it was way more. I'm 34, so I know it was worse when y'all was coming up. Back in the day, my grandparents, parents, y'all they was whooping each other. It was go out there and pick a switch. You know how it was back in the day. So I think we need to implement that more back in our community as far as discipline. Because now you got parents who are scared to discipline their children because they scared of, 2-for-1 kids getting involved. And that's a problem. That's a problem. And back in the day also, it was a village. So if Miss Mary or Dante from across the street know that you acted up, Dante gonna call you out. So I think that's another thing that gotta change. That's what's left our community. Like now kids be outside doing all that stuff. And if you ain't their parent, they ain't even listening to you because they know they ain't gonna get in no trouble. Like, oh, you ain't my mom, you ain't my daddy. But back in the day, that person who was in the community was allowed to discipline you and say, I'm gonna call your mom right now. You know what I mean? So I think that's also something else we gotta.
One thing I want to say about our league, we purposely meet every child. Last year it was a 2-day event I think we were in hell, it was so hot in that room. But we purposely meet every child.
Yeah.
Because when we're at these fields and you acting up, oh, wait a minute, come here.
Yeah.
Let's get you together. Let me take you to your coach because you out of pocket. So what we found is it may sound rough right now, but the children at a later time will appreciate the fact that we stopped them in their tracks.
Absolutely. She is Mary Ward, co-founder of the Cincinnati United Youth Football and Cheer League. That's Shawana Leslie, Evanston Bulldogs Youth Associate Board Member as well. And that's Nick Johnson, CEO of the West End Little Senators and the lead marshal as well. This is the We Not Boxed In podcast with Trey Larkins and Melvin Levitt. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the We Not Boxed In podcast with Trey Larkins and Melvin Levitt. It's been a great show so far, Melvin.
You know, man, this has been very, very informative. I hope the listeners really chimed in and stayed to listen to what's going on here in the community. You know, with these youth football groups that they have, activities for young ladies as well too. It's cool to see. I know I'm out there myself a lot, putting myself out there a lot for a lot of different things. I'm always, wanting to be a part of something that's bigger than myself.
Yeah.
And I often see what I saw tonight, but having this opportunity to see it up close and meet these individuals personally, listen to them, their stories and testimonies, and how they're helping these kids, beyond the sport that they're in right now and beyond the age that they are right now. That's what youth is all about.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And once you get involved, you should want to stay involved. You should want to see it all the way through and see that youngster achieve that next level. I was one of these same type of kids that we talked about tonight, and I needed the same type of support system that these leaders spoke of this evening. So again, to hear this stuff just took me back to when, again, being a kid, wanting the chance just to go outside and play and be a part of something, and just to get away from the neighborhood for an hour, 2 hours. It was. If it was just that, that's what being a part of it was all about.
Absolutely. Listening to the stories that we heard tonight, it's truly inspirational, and we need more platforms discussing the Little League football, Little League basketball, and the cheerleading. We need more platforms that's talking about this stuff because our children in the Black community need it. They need it. And so I definitely enjoyed the show so far. But before we get out of here, Mel, let's talk some NFL, and let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers, they agreed to a 1-year contract with Aaron Rodgers, and he will attend the Steelers minicamp this week. So what is your expectations for Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers this year?
I'm expecting this guy to come in and play at a very high level. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, the injury changed him. Injuries changed everybody. Injury changed me and changed my course of my career. But it never took that competitive edge away from me. Whenever I came back to the game, I was still that fiery, intense, ready to bite your face off competitor. And Aaron Rodgers is the same thing. Has more to prove now coming off of that injury. I think he wants to show people that, he is back to a certain level of health and can compete at a high level still. As I alluded to earlier, man, being in the conference now with Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, just to name, a few of the top quarterbacks in the AFC. I think it's going to be a shot in the arm for him. Watching his Netflix special, I think it was called Enigma. He's a deep dude. Aaron Rodgers is deep. He's mental. So he's going to play the game. And playing for the Steelers, you already know how the Steelers drive a hard bargain.
They do.
Again, you're probably more of an NFC guy. You probably don't pay attention to a lot of the AFC stuff, but the Steelers drive a hard bargain in the AFC North, man. They do. And they're a business-like organization. Mike Tomlin is a no-nonsense football coach that's going to have his team ready to go, whether if they got the top players in the league or average guys in the league. Pittsburgh is always going to do his thing competitively, and you can always expect them to come out and give you a game. So that's why I feel like with the addition of Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, a few others, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have put themselves back in a position of contention.
I disagree. I don't believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be any better this season than they were last year with Russell Wilson. I don't believe that Aaron Rodgers is an upgrade over Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. Last year, Aaron Rodgers for the Jets. 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He had over 3,800 passing yards for the Jets. Melvin, you compare that to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson last year, he had 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, over 2,400 passing yards. But the Steelers were a playoff team last year. So they made the postseason with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. And so this year, I don't believe that they're going to be this Super Bowl contender. I've said it for the last few years. Since Ben Roethlisberger retired, the Pittsburgh Steelers have not had a quarterback. And to me, they're getting a washed-up Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers is great. He is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He is one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. A 4-time NFL MVP, and he's a Super Bowl champion. I'm a Packers fan. I watched Aaron Rodgers in his prime, but he's no longer in his prime, Melvin. And so he's not. And so for me, I believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers will not be any better in 2025 than they were in 2024. And so, no, I don't believe that they are going to be the Super Bowl contender. Will they compete possibly for a playoff appearance? Possibly. But right now in the AFC North, I don't think the Steelers are better than the Bengals.
I didn't say that they were going to be contending for a Super Bowl title. I'll say they'll be back in contention.
Okay, so are they a playoff team to you?
Oh, without a doubt.
Really?
Man,
I don't think they're a playoff team. I think the Bengals are better than the Steelers right now. I believe that the Ravens are damn sure better than the Steelers right now.
But you can always depend on the Ravens to Raven.
That's true.
And you can always depend on Lamar Jackson to Lamar.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that's where I'm looking at. And you can put it on paper as Lamar being the MVP and he's a super athlete. But when it comes down to it, Lamar Jackson has not gotten it done. So to me,
in the postseason. Okay.
So for me, again, looking at it, man, looking at the opportunities and the chances that these guys do have going forward, I really do think, man, what the Steelers have always brought to the table. They've always brought a great defense to the table.
Absolutely.
Okay, you depend on them again to play defense because they don't have offense.
Okay.
Now they have a couple pieces on offense. Now, you don't need Aaron Rodgers to go out there and be Superman.
Right.
All you need to do is to kind of maybe manage the game, which certain quarterbacks have gotten that managed label and they didn't like it.
But isn't that what Justin Fields did last year and Russell Wilson? They managed the game. And I think that is another thing before we got here, Bill. I think in today's NFL, you need an elite quarterback who is considered that guy, like the Buffalo Bills got with Josh Allen, like the Chiefs got with Patrick Mahomes, like the Ravens have with Lamar Jackson. And I don't believe that Aaron Rodgers is that guy anymore. And this is another thing before we got here. It's a lot of pressure on Mike Tomlin. I love Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is one of the most respected NFL head coaches in the league. But the Pittsburgh Steelers have not won a playoff game since 2016, man. It's been nearly 10 years since the Steelers won a playoff game. So I'm gonna be honest. I obviously here in Cincinnati, a lot of my family and friends are Bengal fans, and I like to mess with the Bengal fans because they never won a Super Bowl. But the truth of the matter is, the Bengals have been better than the Steelers the last few years.
I'm
I gotta be honest. I can't keep saying, oh, the Steelers are better than the Bengals for what happened in the early 2000s or the 90s.
I'm a Lake Erie guy.
Yeah.
So my stomach is turning. I'm sitting here talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers chances.
Yeah.
Talking about the Baltimore Ravens chances. Okay? Me being who I am, I'm just trying to be realistic about what I think I'm getting ready to go see. All right? And what I think I'm going to go see is this NFL season in the NFC or AFC North. I'm thinking that Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Right? Those three guys are going to be at each other's throat. Competition odds for their football teams. You can rest assured that because, again, Aaron Rodgers has motivation again to go beat them.
It will be a lot of entertainment in the AFC North with Burrow, Rodgers, and Lamar Jackson. But before we get out of here, I want to give a big shout out to all of our guests that came onto the show tonight. West End President Brian Richardson, Cincinnati Bucks President Gary Roundtree, Cincinnati Golden Wolves President Reggie Borden, Lincoln Heights PR Relations Tracy Wakefield, Nick Johnson, CEO of West End Little Senators, Shawana Leslie, Evanston Bulldogs Youth Association, and Mary Ward, co-founder of the Cincinnati United Youth Football and Cheer League. Big shout out to all of our guests tonight on the We Not Fox podcast.
Another good show.
Another good show. Let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
You can find me at Melvin Levitt Skills Training over there, Instagram, Melvin Levitt, Facebook, Bearcat Jams on X, formerly Twitter. Get the handle, man. Talk to them.
And also go and follow Wise Guys on all social media platforms. Go and follow Onimpactrecruitingservices on all social media platforms as well. And don't forget, each and every Monday, we will be live here at Park Place, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. each and every Monday, the We Not Boxing podcast.
We are back next week with some huge developments in the NIL circus, as well as some big-time Bearcat updates. West Miller basketball camp took place today. Saw a lot of guys. They're in town. They're looking good, man. We'll bring you some of those updates next week as far as what's been going on down there on campus. But seeing those young men today at basketball camp was pretty cool. Got a chance to shake some hands. We got some former Bearcats in town too.
Yeah.
Trey Scott, Dante Berry, a couple others. Drawing a blank here. Mamadou Diarra. Yeah, so we're looking to get these guys out here on the podcast.
Yeah.
There's a few others. I'm sorry, I just threw a blank there, but again, let's get on out here on the podcast. Let's shout you guys out. Yeah. Bearcats in the building.
That's Cincinnati Bearcats legend Melvin Levitt. I am Trey Larkins. Don't forget about Dante Payne behind the scenes. We are signing off. Y'all enjoy y'all week.
Welcome to Onimpact Recruiting Services, where we offer all sports, player profiles, personal training, ACT, SAT prep, college tours, sports evaluations, social media, college contacts, and more. Contact CEO Dante Payne at 513-602-7289 or visit the website. We are here to boost your exposure as a student athlete.